Good afternoon. My name is Jose Torellas. I-1R. This is my MS200 Upward Power Performance Brief. Let's go. For test organization, we are part of 1st Platoon Charger Company 1/5 Infantry, whose task is to disrupt enemy forces in Aororan and purpose to deny enemy influence on the battalion main effort. 1st Platoon is divided into 3 infantry squads and 1 weapon squad. We'll discuss that later. We are first squad. First squad is divided into Alpha Team and Bravo Team. Our purpose is to attack and destroy Objective Phantom to deny enemy influence on the battalion DO. Alpha Team has an attachment, 1 gun team from the weapon squad, which gives us 1 M240 and a javelin. Next, for the area of operations, to the west we have AO Noslack, which is a highly populated civilian area divided by the Bainan River. Here we have Aororan, consists of Objective Reaper, or patrol base, Objective Ghost, and Objective Phantom. To the east, we have the Benin Mountain Range and AO and Rock. For the operations to the north, we identified as 37 Northing, south 31 Northing, to the east 17 Easting, to the west 10 Easting. The area of interest, we identified 1 platoon of CK attack helicopters with reaction time of 30 minutes after a D of US battalion forces or higher. In addition to that, we identified for indirect fires 1 battery of PL-66 with a reaction time of 10 minutes after ID of US forces squadrons or higher. In addition to that, we have 1 P-87 with a reaction time of 5 minutes. Reserve component of the enemy consists of 1 motorized platoon with a response time of 40 minutes triggered by US forces advances through the AO. 88, we identified 2 88 platoons which will be triggered by the identification of US aircraft with an estimated time of 5 minutes trigger time. Here's our GTAO. For obstacles, we identified the Hainan Khalsa Mountain Range, to the east, to the west, the Bainan River, and wire obstacles to Rock Camaro, here and here. US forces, meaning that US forces must progress as stealthily undetected through operation to ensure success through this side over here. We'll discuss that further. For avenues of approach, we identified 2 friendly avenues of approach and 3 enemies. Avenue approach 1 and avenue approach 2 from the patrol base. And for the enemy, avenue of approach 3, 4, and 5 along Rock Camaro. We have the deduce that the enemy will likely use avenue of approach 5, given its high speed avenue of approach, and they will likely use it to transport reinforcements and supplies. US forces will have to use avenue of approach 1 to move stealthily to attack Objective Phantom. For key terrain, we identified the bridge over the Bainan River as key terrain 1, the intersection here as key terrain 2 between Rock Camaro and Local Road. Finally, the third key terrain is Objective Phantom itself. We have deduced that in the event of the attack, enemies will defend key terrain 1 at all costs as a lifeline to move reinforcements and other supplies throughout the AO in events of operation. For observations and fields of fire, we identified 1 enemy battery and the enemy motorized platoon, which means that since US forces must remain undetected to prevent the activation of them, they move stealthily. Finally, for cover and concealment, we have identified the vegetation and the slope of mountain range, where the US forces will use it as a concealment to provide non-detection throughout AA1. Here's what we just covered. For weather, what's to note, visibility, moonrise advances by 1 hour each day, and US forces must move quickly and steadily to avoid moonrise. Wind, we have an average of 5 miles per hour, which we deduce is neither favorable to either side due to its low speed. Precipitation, there's an average of 60% precipitation chance, which means that neither side can employ UAS in the case of precipitation, and in the case of rain, US forces must waterproof essential equipment. For cloud cover, there's near max cloud cover, which means that US forces detection from enemy UAS is lowered. And finally, for temperature and humidity, we have rather pleasant temperatures, but U.S. forces must stay hydrated as they move from the patrol base to the objective, as their core temperature will go up. We must bring water for the operation. Our unit faces an enemy motorized infantry company at 90% strength, estimated at 160 PAX. 3 infantry motorized platoons on this side, one containing 40 PAX, and with attached units, we'll discuss that further, and 2 regular ones. In addition to that, we have the 2 artillery batteries. Most common weapon system is the KVC-95, which is comparable to the M4. Next is the most dangerous weapon, which is the PO-66, comparable to the M777, 1 if it's a millimeter. The enemy situation. We identified 3 infantry motorized platoons. We are assuming that 1 is here undetected. The first one is occupying this position over here in our AO with the 2 attachment, 1 screening infantry reconnaissance squad, and a mortar team disrupting this area here, U.S. forces. To the west, we have 1 platoon in a battle position, and the enemy battery disrupting U.S. forces. To the southeast, we have the enemy company retaining this area here, in addition to another battery disrupting U.S. forces. Our unit faces a motorized platoon, which was discussed earlier, at 90% strength with estimate 40 PAX. The platoon is composed of 3 infantry motorized squads with the attachments of 1 reconnaissance squad and 1 mortar team, in addition to the headquarter elements, which is to the west of the Beni River. Most common weapon system is the KVC-95, again comparable to the M4, and the most dangerous weapon system is the PP-87, comparable to the M252. We have the first squad disrupting enemy U.S. forces along Rock Camaro. We have the squad, the platoon, occupying this area here and alongside second squad. We have the attached reconnaissance squad screening the area here for U.S. forces, in addition to third squad controlling this key terrain here, key terrain 2, and finally the mortar team controlling key terrain 3, objective Phantom, disrupting U.S. forces. The enemy composition is to disrupt the use of U.S. forces in AO to prevent U.S. forces movement through the AO. We estimate that at 90% capacity, they are with 4 personnel. 2 high-value targets that we identified were the PP-87, crucial to preventing U.S. forces casualties and the stealth effect on the operation, so we can remain undetected. The high-value potential targets that we identified were any intelligence that we could gather regarding the enemy platoon in the AO, so that we can make necessary modifications to the operation. And if we can get our hands on a radio operator to eliminate enemy communications with the mortar team and get on their comms. Here's the enemy SITEM. At our level, we have the mortar team disrupting the area here from U.S. forces. Next, we have the enemy capabilities by WFF. First, intelligence. We marked it as a weakness because the element of surprise is essential since the enemy does not know the composition, disposition, or strength of U.S. forces. Next, movement and maneuver. We identified as a strength because the enemy has advantage over the high speed avenue of approach to and out the AO. Next, fires. We identified as a strength since if U.S. forces are detected, artillery will be triggered and the motor platoon will be triggered, inflicting high casualties on U.S. forces. For protection, we identified as a weakness since the enemy does not have a strong defenses set up in the AO. Sustainment, we identified as a strength because they're fresh and resupplied after following the air assault operations earlier this year. Command and control, finally, we identified as a weakness since the headquarters element is far from the front lines. For the enemy MCOA, we identify the purpose of the enemy operation is to the detection of U.S. forces in the AO, and they will accomplish this by conducting control of key terrain 3. This is decisive to their operation because detection of UFO forces in the air larger than a squad will activate the enemy battery. Detection of an element larger than a squad is essential to trigger all their forces and prevent US forces advance. For friendly mission of intent, what's important to note here is the company mission statement. Charger Company 1/5 Infantry disrupts enemy forces in Aurora no later than 30/2200 August 24 in order to deny influence on the battalion DO. The platoon mission statement consists of 1st Platoon main effort. Charger Company 1/5 Infantry disrupts enemy forces in Aurora in order to deny enemy influence on the battalion main effort. The end state for the terrain is MSRs in AO contested, enemy forces destroyed objective Phantom, civilian casualties minimized, and finally, squads are reconsolidated for future operations. Here's the concept sketch on the squad level. The squads will break off from the patrol base, with 1st Squad traversing to Axis Ultra to attack to destroy objective Phantom as the main effort, with 1 attached gun team from 4th Squad. 2nd Squad will traverse to Axis Smash to destroy objective Reaper by the use of an ambush. They have gun team 2 from the weapon squad. Finally, third squad will traverse to Axis Fake to suppress objective Ghost through the demonstration of power. At our level, we have the concept sketch. After traversing to Axis Ultra, 1st Squad will divide into Alpha team, which is the main effort, and into Bravo team, the supporting effort, where Alpha team with the attached gun team will suppress to attack to destroy objective Phantom by support by fire. In addition, after that, Bravo team would do a frontal assault on the objective and dispose of any enemies left. Thank you. This concludes my brief.